Hello, once more, thank you for coming onto this platform again, and most importantly, for watching one of our live transforming videos. I am Nkengecha Marcellus Agendia, and I'm the health coach at Nkengecha Health Academy. In this short video, this time around, I should be talking about sugars. I'm talking about the refined sugars, the artificial sweeteners, and the damaging effect that they have on the health of our children and on our own health. I want to say that as we grow up as little children, we are so much acquainted with sugars, things that are sweet. And you bear me witness that even your children at home, they will too much like, and they will be very happy when you bring them sweet when you're coming back from work. You bring them some bonbons, some biscuits, and things that are sweet, and just maybe juice. They are usually very happy. Their happiness actually even make us to even damage their health more, especially when they are sick, when they fall sick. And we think that by buying them these drinks, sweet drinks, buying them some bonbon and some biscuit, we are trying to encourage them to kind of recover from their health and to give a smile to their faces. But ignorantly, we are instead encouraging them to stay on their sick bed, to continue being sick, because don't be surprised, that has been the origin of their sickness. And so I just want to cite some two key examples from my personal experience in the health sector. I have this very close sister of mine whose children have been admitted for, I think, for about 3 days, and they were diagnosed of malaria. They were asked to do stool examination, but unfortunately the children could not produce stool to be examined, and so malaria was treated with drips. They each took 6 drips as the protocol prescribes, and that was against malaria, and they were also giving some antibiotics against typhoid fever. The children felt relief and they were actually better, and they had to discharge them from the hospital. They all went home, but I want to tell you that 2 days, I think 3 days later, I had to meet with my sister in a meeting, and I was asking after the children, and she said no. She was like so sad that, can I imagine, the chai is still very hot as I'm talking to you. I actually had to give her some medication just to cool down temperature, then to show up at the meeting. It was kind of very embarrassing, and you can imagine what the parent was going through at that point in time. Imagine your children just had admission and they were treated so well, but then a few days later they were still very hot. The temperature was still very high. And I said, you should probably bring back the child to the hospital, so we try to see the things that were maybe not done. Maybe we should do a kind of further examinations. And so quickly something rushed over my brain, and I said, did they do the stool exam? She said no, they could not produce stool and they were not done. So I said, okay, in that case, place them on antifungi. I had some antifungi in the house, and we had to drive together home, and I gave her the antifungi medication. And I said that same evening you have to administer it. Then the following day, if there is no change the following day by midday, then probably you should bring the child to the hospital so that we. But I want to tell you that that same evening, in fact, she went back home and the child was still hot. She administered the treatment, and before uh, they went to bed, the fever had gone down. And I want to say that was just all. That was all she did. And to the moment I'm doing this video, that child is fine. Another example, another typical case that I had, still with a friend's, this time around with a friend's child. And this child has visited the hospital in the previous days, and the child was actually being given malaria treatment based on the lab results. Unfortunately, still stool exams were not done, and the father actually admitted to me that 2 days into the malaria treatment, no change. The child kept being hot, and the temperature was still high, and he had to take the child to a traditional doctor, and because they had earlier advised him that that kind of situation, a traditional doctor can best handle it with traditional, our local medication. Well, I don't have any problem with our local medication, our herbs. Yeah, but because I know it is a source, a very powerful source of health. And so, but that same evening, I was with that my friend with a child. And before they visited me, the child was not actually hot. And he could admit that for some days the child had not been hot. But at that same instance, just about 30 minutes after we finished talking, he said, "Oh, just feel the child." I touched the child, and the child was like burning inside. The skin of the stomach was hot, but the other parts of the body were not actually hot. And I said, "Look, this probably should be kind of should be a fungal infection of the intestine of the stomach, intestinal fungi." And so, still having antifungal medication in the house, I just went. I ordered for one. They brought one, and then I had to administer to that child. I want to say that within the next 30-45 minutes that we were still, where the temperature started going down, I said, "Look, my brother, you have to do a stool exam for us to really confirm that this is fungi, and then you continue with the treatment." I want to say that still at the time I'm doing this video, that child has fully recovered. And so I came to one conclusion. From my sister's case, she admitted that the children consume a lot of sugars. In fact, in their breakfast, they consume tea every morning and loaded with sugars. They eat a lot of bonbons, a lot of biscuits, and so on, and say, "Oh, look, you have to stop all of that." The same thing, this my friend admitted that same situation. They say, "My children, they take sugars in their tea every morning." And you can imagine the quantity of sugar that these children consume every morning on a daily basis. That is just in the morning. What about the day, the afternoons and the evenings when you are not even with the children? They consume a lot of sugars. And mark you, we have to understand that in the lab, when we culture yeast, which are basically fungi, we are actually culturing them with sugars. Because yeast and fungi, these are parasites that live, they feed principally on sugars. And so you can just imagine having fungi in your stomach and then eating sugars. You are like building them up, you are like culturing them in your stomach. It is true, we all have fungi as normal flora in our stomach, but they must not exceed a certain limit. When you feed them too much with the sugars, the tendency is that they will grow faster and become a problem to your health. And so, this is to say that by the time you are giving your children the sugars, the artificial sweeteners, the sweet drinks, which are loaded with refined sugars, we are not helping them out. These are very short-term effects that we see on children. Your children will fall sick very often, and you keep wondering, but what is happening with my child? He or she was just sick last week, and this week she is still sick. Cut the sugars and see the miracles happen. That is the simple advice I give to parents, the simple advice I give to our children. And in the hospital where I work, I've taken it as a challenge to educate the parents, to go inside the ward, to go into the ward and educate the parents. And I do that on a regular basis. And most of them are bringing testimonies that are very great. And I say, you can have the same testimony. You have to receive this take-home message, and you have to understand that refined sugars are not good for the health of your children. They are not good for our health. The short-term effect is that the children will often fall sick. And the long-term effect is that at the age of, say, 30-something, getting to 40, they will start developing things like diabetes, things like the high blood pressure, the kidney problems, the cancers, and so on. And we start wondering where this is coming from. This is very true, because the day you are diagnosed of having diabetes, it is not even within that day or within that month or within that year that you have that diabetes is in place. It is something that has been accumulated from childhood. As you consume these things, there is what we call bioaccumulation. These things come and they form free radicals within your system that impact your health negatively. And so this is the message I have about refined sugars, that we have to take them off our tables. How can we do this? We understand that because we have grown into this, it becomes like so difficult for us to go off the sweets, off the sugars. But our fight is against the refined sugars, the artificial sweeteners. And so we encourage you consuming a lot of fruits, which we have in abundance in the market. We have in abundance in our farms. You should be able to replace these bonbons that you are bringing in back home for your children. Try to replace them with some fruit. Buy some pawpaw, buy some pineapples, buy some mangoes, buy some oranges when you are coming back home, and you give them. They still have the same sweet, the same taste that your children will have from sweets. And so this is going to help us a lot to cut down on the sugars, on the refined sugars from our health, from our diet, from our daily lives. And it's going to empower our health. So the fruits will not only help us cut down the refined sugars, they are also going to empower our health, because fruit researchers have shown that fruits have a lot of micronutrients and fibers that are very, very beneficial to our health. These micronutrients are going to empower our immune system, and they are going to empower us, empower the system of our children against diseases. And so your children will be consuming more of the fruits than more of the refined sugars, will tend to stay healthy, and they will not fall sick often, and that will be great news for you. So this is a short message I thought of bringing to you so that we can help our homes, save the money, and invest in the health of our children. Thank you. As I end this message, please do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you will keep on receiving more and more of these videos. But most importantly, share this video with friends and families and neighbors so that their own health can be transformed. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.